Thank you so much, Rahel, for that video. Good evening, everyone on the call, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to our live session of Fem Power Network, where we are diving into a topic that touches the heart of every entrepreneur's journey. Today, we are going to discuss the topic identifying and coping with mental health stressors for entrepreneurs. However, I believe mental health is not only limited to entrepreneurs, but all of us. I just want to share a little bit of statistics about mental health. Why this topic? Why are we talking about mental health? According to World Health Organization, a report in 2022, it is research that the African region has more than 116 million people who are already living with mental health conditions. Few people in Africa have access to quality mental health care. So it's very important for us to discuss this, but also emphasize it. When we bring it down to Uganda, mental health disorders continue to be a public health challenge here in Uganda. And a recent study shows that in a review of 24 prevalence studies in Uganda, 22.9% of Ugandan children below the age of 18 years had mental health challenges, and 24.2% of adults were suffering with mental health illness. That is a report according to 2023. So there is no health without mental health. Mental health is our biggest wealth. That's why we are talking about it today. Today, I also want to introduce Fem Power Network. Let me start by saying this. As we talk about mental health today, being in the lives of entrepreneurs, being an entrepreneur is no walk in the park. It's more like being on a roller coaster, blindfolded, thrilling, unpredictable, and sometimes downright terrifying. You juggle deadlines, decisions, and dreams, often forgetting that someone who needs your attention most is waiting, and that is you. Today, we are here to change that narrative. We've got a mental health expert joining us to shine a light on the hidden struggles that many entrepreneurs face and the rest of us. More importantly, to equip us with practical tools to manage them. This session isn't just about surviving the grind. It's about thriving, about finding balance amidst the chaos, and creating a future where your mental health is as much a priority as your business goals, as much a priority as your family, as your jobs. So whether you're a startup warrior, a seasoned business owner, or simply curious about how to stay sane in this fast-paced world, you're in the right place. Grab your coffee or your notebook, or even just be comfy at home, and let's have an open, honest, and uplifting conversation. Your well-being matters, and it starts right here. Now let's get down with this show and give a warm welcome to our amazing guest, Dorcus Kavahinda Maloba. Thank you, Dorcas, for agreeing to be hosted by Fame Power Network. I'll not do the introduction. I'll leave you to give us a brief bio about yourself before you introduce the topic deeper. Over to you, Dorcas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peace. Good evening, ladies. Good evening, gentlemen. I don't know whether we have gentlemen. I like the part where you said, grab your coffee, grab your cup of water, relax. That's part of mental health. Yeah, but my name is Dorcus Kavahinda Maloba. I am a mental health specialist. I specialize, we call it child psychopathology, but it's diligent to specialize with children and young adults. I also deal with adults, but most particularly, and I am in the line of children and young adults. Some people call them adolescents, but young adults who need support mentally, psychotherapy, psychosocial, and training and mentorships. Yeah, and that's what I do on a daily. Today, I'm excited. Every time I'm given an opportunity to share about mental health, it's very, very exciting. Why does it excite me? It's because I learn as I share. I do learn. I'm learning a lot because we've seen of late headlines, mental health specialists, psychotherapists, psychologists, psychiatrists. Those are all names that tend to share and talk about one single person, but they are related. It's just that the difference comes in the actual practicality of doing the different things. But we've seen them being high on suicide cases. They are also high on drugs. Some of them we've seen the high rates of deaths that come because of these psychiatrists. And yet they are the ones supposed to help the crowds and support individuals out there. So I get this excitement every time I'm given this opportunity. I'm going to briefly sort of introduce to you mental health in general, the general perspective. Then we can get down to entrepreneurship. But the most amazing thing that every time I share just the introduction, so for some reason you see yourself where you fit in. You see where your part is, because these mental health applicabilities apply to everyone across the board. It's not only to the entrepreneur, but also to the student, but also to the mother at home, but also to the to someone who's in the workforce, employed somewhere. They apply across the board. The difference comes in the age differences, but still these same principles apply across. I want to share my screen. Yeah, let me just share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yes, let us start there. I'm sure you've heard very many things about mental health. The fortunate or unfortunate thing that we have in this generation, it's fortunate that information is everywhere. You can actually have self-help if you dig deep into the internet and the technology. So what we are doing is just bringing this whole concept in one place. But we have the internet, we have the books, we have the technology, we have the information on our desks. So that's the most fortunate bit. The unfortunate bit is sometimes when we get this information, what happens? Do we improve ourselves? Do we get better? Do we change our minds? How do we use this information? How do we use the videos we watch? How do we use all this information that we've gotten? And some people fail actually to consolidate this information that has been spread across. Yes. Now, today we're talking about mental health. It's a key. Down there, I put key to creating healthy minds. Not that anyone with a mental problem has an healthy mind, but they have been incapacitated in one way or the other. And they need help and they need to seek help. They need to be supported, as we will see as we go along. What is mental health? What do you understand by mental health? What do you understand by mental health? Mental health is,
Dorcas,
yes, please.
are your slides open?
Yes, they
I
are.
can see the screen, but it's not open on this side.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me try to see. But they are open and now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let me first stop sharing and redo it again. I've reshared.
Yeah, good now. Good now. Thank you.
I've moved the slides. Have you been able to see the slide change?
Yeah,
Okay, thank
we
you,
are good.
Peace. Thank you very much, Peace. Mental health is the state, is usually defined, and it is the state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own potential and can cope with the life stresses, can cope with the life stresses, can manage, can take on, can adapt, can assimilate, and can work productively and fruitfully, and can make great contribution to his or her family, or to his or her community, to his or her people that they are relating with, to his or their work community, to his or her different environments that we operate in. Having seen what mental health is, there are very many characteristics of a good mental health, and these are observable. On a daily, we can observe them. When someone is having a healthy mindset, a good mental health, and it is mental health. Mental health is my ability to have that positiveness, but also to have the good characters, to have to exhibit like the actual healthy mindset and streams of that come out of someone that are positive and they are self-improving. But if it's not mental health, definitely there's something else, and that is the problem. That is the ill health. That is the disorder, what we need to manage. So there are some good characteristics that we could go through here, but there are several. There are quite many. Someone with a good mental health, they easily listen. They are assertive. They easily cope. They adapt. I'm going to go through them because of how we need to manage our time very well. And it's quite, mental health is broad. It's really broad. This is just defining, and we can always go on and on with this discussion. Yeah, they feel good about themselves. They are comfortable with others. They are able to meet the demands of life, express emotions in healthy ways. They are optimistic, very positive. I've spoken about this positive energy. You can tell someone who's very okay at state. Now, there are people, of course, over time who have learned the art to sort of, can I say, put a mask? But still within the mask, you can still see this. Someone who has a good and healthy mental health state can be seen. We have active listeners. Someone who's an active listener can be part of a group and a team. They don't isolate themselves. They don't feel like I can work alone. No, 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 no. They are good. They can be part of a team. They are a good team member, and they are a good team player. When we go to the mental health continuum, all of us lie on this continuum. You're either having a healthy, normal functioning mind, you have a mild, moderate, or severe. Everyone else, not everyone else, but all of us, me inclusive, at any one point, I can lie on this scale or this continuum as severe or as healthy. At any one point. I'm going to take it a little bit slow because we usually get so many questions here. Everyone is predisposed. You can be triggered by anything. Anything. And by anything, when I say anything, it can be just as simple as the smell of a perfume that reminds you and connects you to a certain event in your life. It can be as small as someone just saying a word. And on this continuum, you switch from being healthy to severe in just a twinkling of an eye. So on this continuum, we have the healthy. The healthy mindset is what we work, the characteristics that we have seen before. You're good, you're healthy, you have positivity, you're optimistic, you're an active listener, you can be part of a team, you can be a part of a group, you enjoy company of others. This is where the normal functioning is. You're normal, you're very well, everything is moving on very well. Then we have mild. Mild is also still in the normal range. For example, stress is okay. Stress is normal. Stress can happen to anyone. And if kept at the level of mild, it doesn't call for any attention. It doesn't. And this is when you're able to regulate. You're able to be stressed today, but you're able to deal with it in a healthy way and take and sort of alleviate it from yourself. So the mild state of stress is still normal. When we enter into the moderate levels of stress, this is when we need to pay attention. When there is significant impairment. When there is significant impairment, sorry. When you look at the different characteristics, some of the things that show that that someone is significantly impaired or affected by stress, you can tell that they are moderate levels. How would you tell? There's a question someone one time asked me and said, how do you tell that my neighbor is stressed? How would I tell that my partner is stressed? There are some obvious signs and symptoms. For example, someone all the time, they have migraines, they have headaches. They are losing appetite constantly. They are withdrawing from community. They are withdrawing from community. They are isolating. There's a sense of loneliness. There's a change in mood. There's a change in sleep patterns. These things, some of these are signs, and these are common to entrepreneurs. Very common. You can't sleep anymore. There's fear for the business is failing, fear for competition. Even as we, delve into entrepreneurship and how it works. Yes. When you start getting to that moderate level, several things are happening. You're losing appetite or increasing appetite. You have constant appetite. You want to eat something because you need to cover up that gap that is within you. We usually call it internal conflict. Within you, you have an internal conflict like, let me just take a milkshake. Let me just eat some ice cream. Today, tomorrow, the other day, you have this heavy craving for chocolate. You have this heavy craving for burgers. You need to note and say, something is not right. You have been sleeping well, and now you can't sleep for 12 hours. You can sleep for 8 hours. The hours keep reducing. From 8, now we are at 2 hours. And the rest of the night, you're thinking about how the business is running, how it's about to collapse, how you need to shop for this thing, how you need to sell across borders. How do I get the taxes? Taxes have become another thing altogether. How do I reduce taxes? How my partner is not working with me. My employees are walking away. What is happening? And you can't sleep most of the hours. This is where we enter into significant impairment. Then severe. Severe is where we seek for what most importantly we call psychological, and this is psychotherapy. Then we can also seek for psychiatry. Psychiatrists are the ones that are authorized to diagnose and treat by medication. Treat by medication. Psychologists can diagnose and treat by therapy and the basic medication. We have what we call basic medication. The way, for example, you're feeling a fever and they just said you go for Panadol. But if you need tests, you need to apply a doctor. And our doctor in this case is the psychiatrist. So even as we go along, we have this discussion going on. There are different things I'll keep chipping in and bringing in, and let's learn together. Yes, so this mental health continuum is very key. And this shows you that anyone at any one point can switch from healthy to severe. And the severe part and moderate is where we need to put our attention to, because the healthy and mild, it can be handled, it can be held, it can be supported, and someone can move out of it as quickly as possible. There are some myths that have come along with mental health. We're still struggling in Africa generally to take on this aspect of mental health. That mentally ill people, people with mental problems are cursed, are bewitched. You've heard these things, I'm sure, as long as you're in Africa. I remember one of those days I was doing a training somewhere in as a lower part of Africa, and someone stood up. The moment I said, we believe that in Africa that someone who's with mental ill health is bewitched or cursed, they stood up and they told me, indeed, they are bewitched. They are cursed. They sort of affirmed it. But actually, these are myths. It's myths. These are myths. These are perspectives that need to be changed. Mental health can be supported, even to the extreme, can be supported until someone gets well. That of course, there are challenges when you leave someone to let that ill health grow. For example, like stage 4 cancer. When you let it grow to stage 4 cancer, of course, the recovery rate is not going to be like someone who's in the stage 1, but you can support it. It can be supported. Yes, another myth. People think that people with mental illness are very dangerous and violent. Not all the time. It's not all the time. It's how the brain sort of picks information that it will cause either to what we call a hypervigilance state or a non-hypervigilance state. There are actually people who are mentally ill, but they move in what we call a catatonic state. They can go quiet for days and they are not talking to anyone, but they have a severe mental health. They are drastically moving from depression to mania to psychosomatics, and they easily enter into psychosis and move on maybe schizophrenia, but also they keep stretching, and yet they are quiet. They are not even being violent. Being violent is how the brain picks it up. And by the way, just like you go do your research and see the people that are violent are the least, and the ones that are violent, they are good because it's easily seen, it's public display. But the ones that have mental illness and they are quiet, they are the many. Those are many. There are many more, like more than the number of those that display the signs of mental illness. So the people that actually should be more dangerous should be the ones that don't show, because it's very hard to treat when the signs are not visible. Your neighbor won't be able to tell. Your partner won't be able to tell. But also you will walk in denial. Because I don't have any sign. I don't seem to show. Why are you taking me to hospital? Even if it was me, I'm not showing any sign. For example, if I go to hospital and they tell me that I have malaria, but I don't have a headache. I don't have any fever signs. It will be hard for me to believe. It will be very, very hard for me to believe. I remember during the time of COVID, many people would be told they have COVID. And someone is like, no, I'm not even sneezing. I don't even have any cough or anything. And they will tell you, I don't believe that doctor. And it is true. Anyone who doesn't have a sign, they tend to deny because I don't have a sign or a symptom. But the people that tend to show the sign, they can easily get help. Then we have yes, please.
Maybe also just to add, even the cases we've had in Uganda the last few years, the spouses are actually not aware that their partners are suffering from mental health. So it really makes it very clear that it's very dangerous for somebody to have mental health challenges and it's quiet and people are not able to notice. because like you said, the ones that come out are easy to notice and easy to treat as well. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Peace. Thank you, Peace. And I like the fact that we can see the sign. The sign is, and that's why I'm saying there are so many signs you can tell that even you yourself, you can tell, this of late, I'm very stressed. This is taking away my peace. You can tell a difference. This is of late, I'm losing interest in the things that I love to do. Those signs, they are personal. But with time also you can say, but I can, once in a while, I can still go for a party. And you let them go because they are not physically and like visible. You're like, you keep denying. You keep this, it won't happen. So that is one of the myths, that they are very dangerous and violent. No. Mental health is caused by personal weakness. That's not true. And that we have in Africa. We think someone who's mentally ill, they were weak, their brain was low, they didn't have anything. One of the things I need to let you know is to be alert, and let us keep our mental health state in a place that is easily, that we work on it on a constant basis. Personal weakness is not measured with mental health, but mental health is a good, working, functioning, governed state of any human being. In that governed, good mental health state, anyone can drop and anyone can go higher. So one of the things I want to say is not caused by personal weakness. Like I showed you on the continent, you can stretch from healthy all the way to severe. You get one call from your friend, your father's died. In that particular moment, your mental health on the continent can switch from all the way from healthy to severe. And how you live severe and return back to moderate and mild is determined by so many things. And partly the biggest percentage, it's you. It's determined by your resilience level, your coping level, your cognitive skills. It's determined by you. Yes, we will go on. As we go on, we will learn some more things and learn together. People with mental illness are poor and less intelligent. No, even the rich and wealthy. Actually, research shows the wealthy and the rich have more mental illness than the poor.
True.
And the less intelligent. Both states can put you in a place of mental ill health because they're experiencing and predisposed to different environments. And these environments come with different stresses. Yeah, mental, like I said, there's mental health, but the opposite is mental health problems, mental ill health. Mental health problems can affect us, like the things I've been going through, irrespective of the personality or your background. Irrespective of the personality, whether you're rich, you're poor, you're choleric, you're strong, you're melancholic, irrespective, your background, whether you're poor, whether you're rich at home, it can affect anyone. Mental health also includes a wide range of experiences and can affect how you think, feel, and behave. That's the whole process. You get stressed, your thinking capacity is broken down. You're impaired cognitively. The next thing is the mood that changes. The emotions speak to how you feel. You isolate, you become violent, you're very aggressive, you don't want to talk to anyone, and that is the behavior. You action the behavior. You don't want to leave your house, you don't want to bathe, you don't want to eat, or you eat a lot. The patterns of behavior totally change, and that is mental health problems, how they affect generally. They can appear as a result of experiencing both our personal and working lives, and they also come about easily with an identifiable cause. Yet we can find the root as we speak. as you talk to someone, the cause can be identified. But at that particular moment, it's unidentified. You don't even know what is causing the stress. You don't know what is happening. Yeah. Some problems may be mild, like I said, on the continuum, or may be moderate. May be mild or moderate. And some of them take a severe form. Any person that you see distressed, for example, schizophrenia, like we will see just slightly ahead, the causes of mental health. There are some that are genetic, that you're born with. There are some people that are born with them. But most of the time, the people that experience the mental health problems, they started mild and they became moderate and they went to severe. They started mild and no one paid attention to it. Even the individual never paid attention to it. Then they went to moderate and they still didn't pay attention to it, and they become severe. And what happens when we get to the severe, on the severe part on the continuum? That's when we have a revolving of mental health disorder. Because if you have, let's say, stress at mild and get it at moderate and get it at severe, what happens is the stress grows into something. It can become depression, then it can become maniac. Then that's why you hear people, there are some people you've heard that they have common bid disorders. They have brought all disorders together. Sort of this mental health disorder attracts the others to come in. So you find someone has mixed symptoms, unless they are tested and tried and tested and diagnosed. But you find they have so many symptoms, you can't even tell what is what. Yet some of these things could have been dealt with at the beginning of the whole issue. Yes, these are wounds that we don't see. Mental health issues, these are wounds that we don't see. These are scars that are untouchable. That is what makes mental health the hardest illness to treat. These are wounds, we can't touch them, we can't see them, we can't change much, but unless help is sought, progressive report can happen. But these are wounds we don't see. I'm sure you've also identified a few things here and there, but we cannot touch that wound. You internally have them. There are things that disturb you. For example, let's say everyone on the face of the earth, they have that one thing they are struggling with. But that one thing they are struggling with, how are they maintaining it? Are they managing, or it's eating them up? Is it destroying them, or they have over time learned how to suppress it or manage or sort of improve it? So those are things, just like I said, these are wounds we cannot see them. That's what makes mental health the hardest thing to treat, but it can be supported. Mental illness. Mental illness are health conditions involving emotion, thinking, changes in emotions, thinking, and behavior. We've talked about that. Sometimes they are called mental health challenges, mental illness, mental disorders, mental problems. But all these words, they bring in what we call a disorder. You're not ordered in the normal formality. You're not functioning the same way like ordinarily an individual would function. There is an impairment somewhere. You cannot seem to attach and work with these things together. A mental disorder is characterized by clinically significant disturbance in an individual's cognition, emotional regulation, and behavior. What are some of the causes of mental health? The research that has been done, they sort of sum them up to just in these three. But when you look at British American psychology and the research they've done, there are other things that can actually bring in trauma and can actually, cause mental health. And these are generalized as others, even in the DSM-5. It's the mental health diagnostic statistic manual. They call the others, but they can also cause mental ill health. The biological factors. These are genetic. We all know these. You are born, you're in a family that has a history of mental health. You have a mother that has a history, like any other disease. Also, mental health, it has that line of if someone with genetics, for example, like sickle cells. The same way there are genetics that follow. That's the way mental health, ill health can come when you have a history in your family of what? Of mental health. When you go to a psychotherapist, they usually do what we call a genogram. A genogram is just to trace where is the history of mental ill health in your family. So when you have, just like you would know that we have a history of hypertension at home, we have a history of diabetes at home, and you do something about it. That's the same way when you get to know we have a trace and a history of mental health or mental ill health at home. You do things that sort of improve your well-being so that you're not predisposed to the other factors that can bring this rise of the genetic formation that you already have existing in you. So those are the biological factors. We have environmental, economics, and social exposures. Entrepreneurship lies here. Entrepreneurship lies here. It is the economic.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
environmental and social exposures. Environmental, we have the normal environment, for example, landslides, war. Those ones really heavily impact on someone's mental health. But also the sun. I want you to go back and just notice that every time it is cold, people are more quiet. People want to be in one place. There's no movement. They want to be calm in a more calm. They are more calm. But when it is hot, people are aggressive. They are very aggressive. People are irritable, internally irritable. When there is pollution, you've seen a place where there is sewage is smelling, like that scent of sewage. There's a way it discomforts people. Actually, it can stress someone even beyond what you can see. Air pollution, noise pollution, all those are environmental causes that can actually bring someone can go back home with a headache and they are stressed and they don't know where it came from. Yet it's an environmental issue. It's maybe the sun, the hotness, the day it's so hot, it's causing them, it's pushing them to that place of being stressed and strained. Then we have economic.
Dorcas,
Yes,
just a
please.
question. Does this explain why the prevalence in the developed world, especially the cold countries, seems to be higher than in Africa,
Yes,
the
because
temperate?
yeah. Even the temperatures, it does explain that. There's a study that was done on the brain. We have what we call a survival brain, that every time it's extremely hot, the brain opens. We have what we call a flight mode, that people hibernate in flight mode. They are trying to move in survival settings, sort of. So that's why it explains also why people who are in hot conditions, they are very aggressive. You see people from South Sudan, they are very aggressive. A study has been,
Arabs.
yeah, it could also contribute to that aggressiveness. Then also people in extreme hot conditions, they will behave the same way because the brain sort of a kuvam, like it lets you be. It's trying to fight and survive even in those hard conditions. So it brings upon this stress. And you cannot, when it brings up the stress, by the time you identify that it is actually the weather, the conditions, you've really gone through a lot of tests. You've had people say, I failed to stay in countries where there is winter. You've had people say, every time it's winter, I need to leave this country. I need to leave. That's why we have those words. We have people coming for summer, but summer, those words. Why they are leaving areas which are
Very
very
true.
cold, and they are coming to area. And when they get here, they want to be in the sun. They even sun
Yes.
So it's environment is very key. It can actually cause mental illness. That's why different people, they keep telling you, don't stand too much under the sun. Don't stand under too much the sun. Oh, they're cold. The child tells you, mommy, I'm not cold. But you tell them, still put on the sweater. Yes, you don't want them to get anemic, but also you don't want to expose them to extreme conditions that can stretch their brain in thinking and working. Yes, we have economic poverty, entrepreneurship, all those fall into economic. Economic is big, it's really wide. That daily movement from work to home, those 2 hours of stress fighting for
In
taxi,
jam.
in jam, there is noise here, then you see an accident, then you're trying to get some money. You've seen parents who lock their own children in the house. As they go to work, they are strained. Their brain is strained. How are my children? How is that day going? They can't actually concentrate because they've left their children in the house. That can cause actually mental ill health or illness. Then social exposures. We have a word we call trauma dumping. You've had exposures like mostly what we see on social media. They show you an image of someone being killed. And immediately there is this fear that anytime I'm going to be killed. You've heard when someone just speaks, that spot, someone they was killed. Do you notice that you try to avoid that spot? Why do you try to avoid that spot? It's because there's trauma from the social environment. If someone tells you, that gentleman has raped 2 people we know of, but the police doesn't know, do you notice that you're not going to engage with that gentleman again? You'll want to walk away because already you've been exposed that person is a threat to your life, and also they can do the same thing they've done to the other person. So the social exposure, here we have technology. We also have the actual environment we live in. And also this is where the pains come in, where people have hurt you constantly. This is where we have patterns of life, where you're always back at the same step. Why do I always fall back to this addiction? Why do I always fall back to this things that you're even trying to avoid? I don't know, Peace, maybe you'll alert me on time, eh? You'll alert me on time even as I try to move. Brain chemistry. Brain chemistry is when the oxygen, what happens is when we get stressed, anxious, depressed, your oxygen levels that are transported to the brain. I'm going to try to explain it in the simplest form. Your oxygen levels, your serotonin, your dopamine reduces transmission to the brain. When it reduces, we have a part of the brain called the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. They govern our well-being and how the brain operates. So when they don't receive of this oxygen, they shut down, they die out. When it's just like when you can't breathe, you're in a place that is suffocated. That's how the brain feels. When it feels like that, it starts to shut down, like a dying battery. Once the battery is low, it starts to shut down some apps. You can't access. That's how the brain works. Some apps will start shutting down. Your thinking capacity is affected. Your well-being is affected. You see someone, now the physical behavior systems, what we see, someone who used to show up at work very early, alert, ready to work, they come dragging their feet now. When they tell them you have this assignment, okay, I'll do it. And they don't do it. Someone who used to show up at home very happy and glad to see everyone, now they don't want to see everyone. They come and straight to their bedroom. Brain chemistry, because the brain is shutting down, or because of lack of that oxygen and transmission of serotonin and dopamine. I hope that's clear. Then we have other traumas. Other traumas, these are grief. You've lost a loved one. That's a trauma. That's a pain that can cause mental ill health. Last year, there's a person I worked psychotherapy. I was they brought someone to me, and this person had they had lost their mother. The mother was their best friend, and what happened is when they went back to work, a client walked in looking exactly like their mother, and they fainted.
Wow.
Yeah, they fainted. So when they fainted, immediately they could not do certain things the way they were doing. They lost concentration, their appetite, weight, they lost a lot of weight, things changed. After a while, when the doctor is trying to treat this, treat that, they can't seem to find what? Another doctor tells them that is a psychological issue. That is psychological. When they introduced me to this person, when we did all the tests, you could tell high levels of depression, high levels of anxiety, high levels. So when I took her in a process where we went back. Where did this start from? She told me, when I saw someone who looked exactly like my mother. These are things that happen. These are real traumas. When I had just joined mental health, when I was still practicing, in the class, when the teacher was explaining these things and we were doing the practicums, I noticed there was a pattern in my life that I used not to understand. When I lost my mother, a perfume was sprayed. You know those perfumes, like someone sprayed a certain perfume. Every time I smelled that perfume, I would stop. Just stop. I would look around just in case you can imagine growing up all your life, you stop. Of course, as I grew up and I went through this whole, that's when I started to understand, oh, and this can happen to anyone and it grows into severe. I've seen someone who one time they saw number 9. This is a story, I think it's in the New Vision somewhere in Uganda here. They saw number 9 and they remembered room number 9 was the room where their father passed on. And just, you can imagine the word number 9. Every day we see numbers, but number 9 can trigger them to that level. Those are traumas that sometimes are unexplainable. Anything can trigger. Anything can trigger as long as the brain can relate to it. In the long-term memory, where the storage is, that what we call the unconscious, it looks like it's not working, but when a trigger comes on, it's like something has just immediately picked a memory. I'm sure you've also been somewhere and you look at someone's skirt, just a skirt, maybe a necklace, maybe the way they do things, and it takes you to a certain memory somewhere. Those are some of the traumas that are existing and are lying quietly in our long-term memory. And if you don't deal with them with different copings and everything, sometimes they can become severe and they can grow into something else. Yeah, these are some of the things we've been talking about, biological factors. Here we have hereditary traits, inherited traits, brain defect. You've gotten an accident and your brain has been affected, brain injury and defects, all that they cause mental health. That's a sign of mental health. Prenatal damage. Some of these we don't have control over them, and we can do not some of these we can't do much. Like prenatal damage, we can support. Like someone who has been born with autism, we can support and reduce on the pressure that it brings and the pressure itself, or the symptoms we can reduce, but we may not be able to take them away. Like development defects, history of mental health, some of these may not be able to be changed, but there are some actually you can work on as an individual. Most especially the effects that come with entrepreneurship. You can work around them. You can cope with them. Yes, like low income, poverty, debt, poor and unstable living, education, death, divorce, dysfunctional family, feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, all these, changing jobs, schools, social cultural expectations, substance abuse, relationship issues, abuse, physical, sexual, emotional, psychological, child neglect, child trauma. All these can cause mental health. The brain chemistry, we have gone through them. Some of the signs, most of the signs I've been talking about them, but those signs keep showing up. If it shows up once, you're feeling unhappy, you're feeling sad, it is okay. But if it constantly is happening, you're sad, it's now 2 weeks, it's now 3 weeks, you need to question. You need to question and you need to pay attention to yourself and you need to seek help where you need to, or you get someone to support you. Feeling guilty, self-blame, drastic changes in behavior, hygiene, sleeping habits. You're hearing voices, seeing things that others are not seeing. You're detaching from reality. Detaching, you've seen people who tend to focus when they are thinking. But you see that focus, if it's seconds, it's okay. But if it goes into 30 minutes, 1 hour, we need to check it. You're detaching too long. You're disassociating for so long. Changes in personality, changes in emotion, sudden absence of self-care. You don't want to spend some time on you, there's an issue. These are just some of the symptoms that show that there is a mental health issue. Problem thinking, you've been doing your things very well, you'd think straight. Actually, people would be like, the way that lady thinks. But now suddenly you can't even think, you can't even write a document that ordinarily you'd write. You can't even present yourself the way you'd ordinarily present yourself. Someone was sharing an experience when in one of my working environment. Ladies will go through postpartum after delivery of a baby. Those 2 years we call them postpartum depression years. It can show up in any way. So one person was sharing us with an experience where they would go to present and they get a mental blackout totally. They can't understand they can't remember, first of all, what they were talking about. In the middle of the presentation, you can imagine. They don't remember what they were talking about. They don't understand what has just happened. And sometimes they just need to sit. And they can't even follow through with the presentation they were doing. Usually, some of them are alarming, some of them can be, with time they can sort of improve, but also sometimes you need help and you need to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help, but it depends where you ask the help. Yes. I'm trying to move quickly. Some of the outcomes. We have so many outcomes. Unhappiness. Of course, when people are starting to run away because you're aggressive, you will not be happy. You will decrease enjoyment, family conflicts, relationship difficulties. Who wants to stay with a difficult wife or husband? Who? No one. Of course, that will be an issue because of mental ill health. You no longer want to isolate, and of course, your husband is asking, or you are, even if it's not now, let's imagine it's just a normal relationship of a brother and sister. You've seen this. No one, they even start naming you names. That one doesn't want to be with people. Of course, they are trying to say without saying, please come and we be together. Would want to be with you. Social isolation. Problems. Now you start even channeling how you cope. We will talk about coping as we go along. I'm trying to go through quickly. I will show you. But poverty, homelessness, legal and financial problems. If you're beating up everyone, people are going to bring the police. If the whole village is terrified about you, they are going to be unhappy. Then weakened immune system. Remember, one of the mental ill health is low appetite or high appetite. You're eating everything that you meet on the way. You're craving burgers only. And you're not keeping your physical healthy lifestyle. Hopelessness, anhedonia, that constant presence where you feel no one understands you. No one can understand what's going on with you. People do understand. You just need to identify who understands. Depressed. You don't want to breathe. You don't want to do the things that you used to enjoy. Even a normal movie, you don't want. Then before you know it, you're missing school. You're missing work. You're giving your employee all sorts of reasons. Those are some of outcomes. Then there's suicide, there is self-harm, homicide. You feel everyone else is wrong apart from you. And you start even trying to eliminate them. You've seen where I was one of those days, like I was telling someone, when we were much younger, because we felt we had grown, we have this malfunction within us. We feel like that our parents are troubling us. And suddenly you want to move out of home. You don't want them to disturb you. I want to be by myself. I want to by myself, you're isolating yourself.
You don't understand me. It's common among teenagers.
Yes, because of that malfunction, now they feel suddenly no one understands them. And what do they want to do? Isolate. I'll stay by myself. I'll choose when to cook and not to cook. I'll choose when to go out. And they are trying to isolate themselves. Anytime you find yourself isolating yourself from the general crowd, it's one of those points, withdrawing from the communities, withdrawing from family, withdrawing from people that you're used to being with. Usually it's the first thing, like a first sign that happens to anyone. There are two ways. It can go by to the extreme. There's one even who over engages now. You've been engaging the normal way. Now you want to over engage. You want to be in every party. You want to, because you're trying to replace that conflict. You want that conflict within you to stop. You want that gap to be filled. So it can go extremes. You wonder, now you look at someone who never used to go for parties. Now they are going for every party. Just say the party, they will join. They will go, they will be part. Yeah, those are some of the outcomes, but there are several, many others. Some of the mental illness, some of these have been speaking about them. Bipolar, personality, PSTD, that is post-traumatic stress disorder, eating problems, schizophrenia, OCD. You can't seem to get rest until that door is closed. It can cause you actually stress. And one of the OCDs that we have in the entrepreneurship world, I want everything perfect. You know, that can actually stress you when you want everything perfect. I want that dress as a tailor to be made in the most perfect way. That's true. Even your client wants it, but it will stress you.
Perfectionists.
Perfectionist. They don't even, like you've entered a shop where an interior designer, they want the curtain to be a certain way. And every 2 minutes, they will look at it. Every 2 minutes, they can't seem even to concentrate. They look at this curtain. Every 2 minutes, they want to look at it. That can actually strain your brain because you want to present yourself a certain way without altering any perspectives about you. That actually can bring strain. Yep. Prevention. Pay attention to warning signs. Pay attention to warning signs. If you've been eating well, now you're losing appetite. Pay attention to warning signs. You can work with your doctor, you can work with your therapist, but also if you feel there is an issue, we have what we call now the normal world is paraprofessionals. Find someone you can confide in and tell them, of late, I don't seem to understand what's going on. Get a fellow entrepreneur. How do you handle this? I feel I'm dying. I feel something is not right. I feel overly stressed. Pay attention to warning signs. Get routine medical care. Get help when you need it. Take good care of yourself. Then we have, how would you cope? How can you look after yourself? All your mental well-being, all your skills. There are many ways. There are many ways that you can do this. We have practicing relaxation strategies, deep breathing, meditation, mindfulness. Take time to relax. Take time to relax. Now, one entrepreneur behind this screen is telling me you're joking. You don't even know, you don't even understand how much work I have. Even as I speak now, I'm in this session, but I want to go and work.
Want to do
I
a
feel
deal.
take time to relax. You can actually even relax in between your working sessions. The relaxing part is more internal than external. You can actually step out just 2 minutes and breathe in and out. You can take 2 minutes and go and wash your face. Don't you find that refreshing? Try it and see. But relax your veins. Even in the midst of a turmoil, a busy schedule, you have this appointment, you have that appointment, you can actually go to the toilet. You can actually go to the bathroom, you can excuse yourself and say, give me 2 minutes in the bathroom, and all you have gone to do is to look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh,
have a sanity break.
Yeah, a sanity break. Those pause breaks are very key. Like you just go to the mirror to look at yourself and say, oh, Dorcas, I usually do this myself. I can just go to the bathroom and say, oh, Dorcas, you still even look good. This is nice. Oh, this feels good. You know, it's
Encourage yourself.
yeah, you encourage yourself. That pause, there's a way it brings your mind back to set. It brings that all that you need to think and strategize on back to set. You need those moments. Some people are like, I can't relax. I don't have time. I have children. I have work. I have what? You need yourself. Everyone else needs a functioning mother. Everyone else needs a functioning friend. Everyone needs a function employee or an entrepreneur. Even the ones you've employed, they want a functioning boss. They want a functioning boss. So that is something that you need to pay attention. Take time and relax. Self-care. This is a word that is becoming the most common. But one of the things I want you to take note today, while you're doing your self-care, do self-care that is pertinent to you, that is in line with you, what you call self-care. While someone calls sauna self-care, may not be self-care to me. But just sitting and working on maybe my hair, I love opening my hair and just stand under the shower. May it be self-care to me. Going and working that pedicure may it be self-care, but may not be self-care to others. Some people love slow music. I don't. Most especially when I'm stressed. I feel I need that loud music that is going to blow one stress out of me quickly, you know? So we are different. Make sure you get a self-care state, something that you do for yourself to look good, to feel better about yourself, that is part of you, that is in line with what you want. Getting regular physical exercise. Exercise, exercise, exercise. I will say it again. Exercise is the #1 relaxer of every vein in our body. Your veins relax. When we sweat, while outside we are feeling hot, internally, all the veins are getting better. They are worked well. The brain comes to set. It comes back. That's why you will sleep better. When you come back from an exercise, you'll note the person who was aggressive, they are now talking better. That's why some people use it a lot. Let me take a walk. You know, when they are stressed, let me just take a walk. Now, when you're at work, for example, you're working in a health facility, or you're working in workplaces where you have to walk up the block, down the block, up the stairs, down. That's not exercise, please. Exercise has to be intentional. It has to be intentional body movement where you literally feel your heart is moving and it is intensified just to release some energies. Exercise can be done anywhere. You can take walks. You can have skip at home, play with your children, a soccer that gets your heart rate on, or there are even videos on YouTube. There are very many exercise apps now that are present. One of the easiest one that I can say, get one body movement that you can do that sort of helps your whole body to move until a place where you can sweat a little bit or feel the warmth and the heat that comes out of that exercise. Exercise, exercise, exercise. It really, really helps. This is where most the wealthy, what we call the wealth and the rich, have failed because they are busy. Madam entrepreneur, I'm very busy. I have so many schedules. I can't exercise. You will break down. Your system will break down and you'll surely break down and you'll not know what exactly happened. You've seen people faint. You've seen people who walk out of professions and their businesses. And you wonder what happened to so and so. Someone wakes up one morning and they tell you, I am tired. Haven't you heard those words? I'm sure you have. I got tired. They had the money, the business was moving on very well, everything was happening very well. And someone wakes up and tells you, I am tired. It's because you are not doing these exercises that need to relax your muscles, that are tensed up, that are thinking about this and being strained about all day. Talk about how you feel. Talk to someone. If you feel it's not a private issue, feel free to talk to anyone. Like, how do you handle this? How do you handle that? How would you do this? Find someone who you can talk to easily, who you feel will keep your secrets or whatever you need, but find someone. Just find someone. It's good to talk. We usually use it in mental health, and we say we talk ourselves to wealth. We talk ourselves into well-being. We talk as you talk. That talk helps you to move, like it's a transition experience into a better place than where you were. Please talk about this. Writing, journaling, making to-do lists, setting goals, things that show you a particular direction, that sort of order your life. Journaling is good. Journaling brings you to a place of gratitude, but also it shows you where you need to develop. Because as you journal, you will look at it and say, hey, last time I was complaining. Last time I was still complaining about the same thing, same employee, even today. I need to improve this, or I need to remove this person from my space. But journaling is good. It shows, oh, this far I have come. This far I have changed. But all your thoughts and emotions can be laid there. Identify your triggers. Know that when I look at this, when I do this, I'm triggered. I will give you an experience. This is personal. This for the first parts of my years as a married woman, I didn't have a child. One of my biggest trigger was just hearing that someone is pregnant. When someone would tell me, so and so is pregnant, there's a way to bring a certain downcast on me. I'm like, what is wrong with my body? What is wrong with me? Someone says someone has just gotten married, they're also, pregnant. And there's a way it would cause me to isolate. It would cause a lot of pain. And it's not because I'm not happy for that person, but the mere fact that my body wasn't functioning like the normal other ladies. There's a way it would strain me. I had to learn to identify that is a trigger. And the most amazing thing, this person would get the pregnancy, I would look at it and I would be normal, and it would do nothing. But the sound of I am pregnant, or someone is telling me so and so is pregnant, that was a big, huge trigger that actually would cause me to go and cry for like 2 days, wondering what's wrong with this body of mine. So identifying your triggers in business. What is that one thing that triggers, that causes you violence? If losing money is a big, huge trigger, would you consider getting someone to hear that news and break it down for you before you feel bad about it or anything? How would you improve that trigger? If this trigger comes through, can I get space the moment I hear that we've lost money again, or the machine that is running my product is breaking down again? What is it I'm going to do that will improve the effects of this trigger? You can choose all these things. Coping mechanism, I can step away, breathe in, I will do this, I'll do that. And that's very important for you to do. But the most important thing is to identify the trigger. Establishing and maintaining boundaries. Learn to say no. You can't take on everyone's function because you're a decorator. You're a catering service person. Entrepreneurship calls you, we need to get more money. But you need to learn to say, no, I am not going to take on that function. I have 8 functions that I need to attend to. Even when it is a close friend, a relative, you need to learn to say no. When you need some space, learn to tell people, give me some time. When you need to be in a place somewhere and you need to move quickly, you need to learn to tell people, I'm sorry, my time has run out, but I need to go now. Establishing boundaries and maintaining them is very key. You need to learn to say no. You need to learn to say, I have to go. You need to learn to say, I won't be able to attend to that. Taking on a lot of workload because you feel you need to push. Recently, I saw someone who is pushing visibility. We need to be visible on the internet. We need to be visible. So they are doing all drastic measures, even those that affect them, to the degree that they are buying expensive clothes, but they are taking money from where? From their capital. Because they want visibility. So I asked them, what exactly are you doing? Because they want visibility. I have to be on video. I have to put on makeup, but I have to have a new dress all the time. Some of these pressures, that they are the way why we get mental ill problems or ill health. We are pushed in moderate levels of anxiety, stress. You're stressed. The next TV session, I need to be in a new dress, but you're picking from your capital. If that business fails, where are you going to get more money for another dress? It's okay to repeat a dress until you grow. That's how you need to find a way of doing what? Of coping. Thinking about what helps. If you start getting overwhelmed, if you start feeling overwhelmed, what are the things that would help you? A cup of tea? Do you need to listen to soft music? You need to get to that place where you understand very well that the rate at which my patterns are moving, I'm not thinking well, and most likely I'm going to behave differently. Be
Dorcas,
kind. Yes, please.
okay. I see there are some questions in the chat.
Yes, please.
Somebody is asking,
Yeah.
Isabella is asking, how long can we support someone experiencing mental health illness without being sucked into their world or almost giving up on them?
Okay. How long can you support? For a
Yes.
professional, we support as long as possible. But after 3 or 4 sessions, someone should show some signs of improvement. But if you're a non-professional, please push them to a place of someone who's a professional. Why do I say professionals? When I say professionals, I mean an actual counselor or a psychologist or a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist. They have learned the self-care. We have what we call debriefing. Every time I listen to your story or after the session, before I take on another session, there's what we call a debrief session. For you, you will get instead of debriefing, you're going to get what we call a vicarious trauma or a vicarious pain. Why? You're on top of your baggage, of your being and issues, you're going to take on someone else's issues. Actually, if you notice, when someone has experienced a lot of pain, you start to relive their life. You start to relive their experience. Even when you go to bed, you start to dream about them. Why? It's because you've not gone through what we call a debrief session. For how long can you support? You can support until you feel it's starting to affect you. Because our resilience levels are different. Peace may be able to support for 2 weeks, and she'll be like, I give up on that. But I might be able to maybe leave alone that I'm a counselor or a psychotherapist, and maybe I might be able to support for a month, maybe for 2 years. There's someone I've been supporting of grief, because also the healing process is determinant on the person. People heal different. It's just like a wound on a skin. A wound on a skin, there's a person in 2 days, they will be okay. But there is another person, it will even dig deep and go 2 years. So the same way the same way is with the support levels are different. But if you start feeling that this is affecting me, how I think, how I sleep, how I live, I'm reliving actually someone else's experiences. That's when you need to stop. That's when you need to pause and say, no, let me help this person to get another person. Like I said, establishing and maintaining boundaries is very key. You need to be, of course, the other person will be like, hey, you've left me in this. You've left me in a place where I need you most. But you need to be sane yourself. You need to be in a place where you can be able to help them. Because if you be like them, you're not going to help them. You're going to be two sick people not helping each other. I hope I've answered you. Yeah. As we move on, Some of them is relax. I talked about relax. Take that break. Focus on your breathing. Deep breathing has been seen to also relax the veins and the brain strains. It's good for you. Spend time in nature. Those forest walks, they are good. They are good. As you look at the birds, as you look at nature. When I was growing up, one of the things my aunties used to tell me, there's one of my close auntie used to tell me. She used to tell me that every time you take a walk, you're able to see what you're capable of doing. I'm able actually to build that. I'm able to, to plant these trees. You see things, your imagination stretches, and you're able to see what you can do and what you can do. Actually, that when you want to make a decision, try taking a walk. You will think all around. And by the time you're done with that walk, most especially in forest, in green, in a place where it's green, like botanicals, you will notice that actually by the time you're done, you're like, I know what to do. Because it is fresh. There's something about nature and the environment. Then picture yourself somewhere. We are Christian women. I was told that we are Christian women. We have an element of Christianity. The Bible has talked about imagination. Imagination. Than you wasting your time in sadness and pain. If you can bring a better picture to your eyes and a better vision, you're able to move on. By the way, you're able to, because you compare where you are, where you want to go versus the pain. And you're like, I need to move. I need to keep going. Albert Einstein said that an imagination is everything. It's a preview to life's coming attraction. It's a preview to life's coming attraction. Just imagining yourself as an ambassador versus the pain you're in. Imagining yourself the Trump that we have, a rich lady in Africa, the richest maybe, the wealthiest. Imagine yourself in a place that is better than where you are. It's a very good thing to have that picture before you. Listen to music. Music is good. Music is music to the soul, like they usually say. It's good for you.
True.
Yeah, it's music to the soul. It's the soul actually enjoying more than even the flesh. So as the soul translates itself in the brain and the veins, you tend to be relaxed. That's why good music. That's why most mental health facilities, if you notice, we put that sound, that music somewhere, and we usually tell someone, when you reach a beat, shake a bit. It's good for you, just pause and shake a bit. It might be slow music, but when you hear that pump, just shake a little, even sing a bit. It relaxes you, and it's a good thing to do.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Dorcas, we have one question from the audience. We have a
Yes.
question from Carol Ngechu. How do I
Yes.
find that balance between taking care of my mental health and stretching myself so I can reach my goals? Because they say nothing comes easy.
Yeah.
When they tell you nothing comes easy, you think you have to outstretch yourself. So how do we find a balance between
How do
taking
you
care of
find?
ourselves,
Mm.
a balance between taking care of my mental health and stretching myself so that I can reach my goals?
Yes. Thank you,
Because they
Carol.
say nothing comes easy.
Easy. Yes. Thank you, Carol. Thank you for that question. It's a question that is common, and it's a question that many people really ask. How do I find that balance? Now, Carol, we all have 24 hours, and we are going to be intentional about our 24 hours. Very intentional about our 24 hours. You can choose and say, I'm going to use my 8 hours focusing on my goals, accomplishing my goals, implementing my goals, working on my goals. But I will have this 1 hour for me to meditate, for me to take that cup of tea, for me to think, for me to move, for me to make certain decisions in the silence. It is very good. One of the things I can recommend, Carol, if you want your visions, I want you to go back home and try it out. For you to have a good picture, have a good like focus on your goals and implementing them and establishing them and accomplishing them, the way you can easily do it is having that one moment where you pause to do nothing. You will notice that actually there are things that you never thought about are going to come to you. Actually, research has shown that in the moment where we are not thinking, we are actually thinking. Our spirits, our souls are thinking, and they will be able to give us answers. But you pausing and relaxing, you're energizing yourself to move forward. You're actually refueling, just like a car stops by a petrol station. Because when your battery runs low, you will not be able to move. These goals you have set, they need you. They don't need a dead you. They don't need a disgruntled you. They don't need a distracted you. They need you. And for you to be able to accomplish them, you need to be in the right mind, right mind. Your brain is working well, your body is working well, and you are able to set a day. In out of the 24 hours, set at least an hour like this, just to relax and sit on yourself. And sometimes there's a word still in the mental health world we say, make in number what you lack in skill. If you lack the skill of having that 1 hour, break it up in small numbers. Let's, for example, relaxing 5 minutes in between 2 hours. You say every 2 hours, I'm going to have 5 minutes of a break. Those 5 minutes, I'm going to think, pause, and relax. And I'll make most of them. Then I move. I know someone who even tells their boss, it's lunchtime. Last time you told us it's to eat, but I can choose to eat or not. So my lunchtime, I'm going to take a walk out of the office just to breathe in and out. You can make in number. It's a word that we use. Make in number what you lack in skill. You don't have the skill of sitting 30 minutes, 1 hour just to sit and relax, but you can break it up in numbers. Do you know that 5 minutes different times, they can be 30, they can be 1 hour. So you can break them up in those minutes. You can say, my 5 minutes today, this morning, I'm just going to close my eyes and take the deep breath. Then the next 5 minutes, I'm going to sit down and journal. Just write something so far I've experienced today. Then the next 5 minutes, I'm going to just move around my area of work, my storage, or even my shop. Then the next 5, you can break it up and find that you are able to balance everything and also be able to take care of your mental health and self-care. Hope I've answered you.
Yeah, we have one last question, I think.
Yes.
From Carol still.
Yeah.
She says, also there is this notion in Christian circles that if your mental health is not right, then you're probably not walking right with God. How can we encourage walking right with God while still giving grace to ourselves?
When your mental health is not right, it means you're not walking right with God.
Yes.
Is it true? I don't think.
It's a notion.
It's a notion,
So,
but I don't think it's true biblically. I am a Christian, like Bible reader, lover of the word. And one of the things I think as even go ahead, I had put that, what does the word of God say about managing ourselves? I had even put that slide. One of the things I want to let you know, the Bible encourages all these things the same way. And actually, the world has translated them and taken them away. That notion that when you're not in the right mind, you're not right with God, it is not true. But if you acknowledge and you can tell that at this particular moment, I'm not right in mind, then you take the same steps. Some of the things that we mental health specialists living when I'm not a Christian, these things were picked from the Bible. Mindfulness, meditation. This book will not depart from your mouth. You will meditate on it day and night. While people are doing yoga, you can actually sit down and meditate on the word of God for your life. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He said green pastures. What do they look like? And you actually meditate. Actually, the Bible says in the book of Job that he gave me his word and I did eat it. It says, I will eat his word day and night. I'll keep his word in my heart that I may not sin against him. Being in the right mind, it's possible. There are cares of life. There are things, and by the way, Christ acknowledged them. He was also tensioned, the Bible, to the point that even he released blood. Does it mean he was not right with God? It can happen.
Definitely
Even
not.
in Christian ministry, you can be stressed. You're stressed by your church members. You're a leader, and the people you're leading are taking left, you're going right. You're telling them this is the way, they are saying, no, this is not the way. And that can be, it means at that particular moment, what they are trying to say, that you're not right with God. Not really. It happens to everyone. That even Christ reached a moment. Even sometimes the Bible talks about when he would be shocked at people's unbelief. Like shock. Hey, you people, you're not believing. Oh my God. It is not true that someone who is mentally not right, they are not they are not right with God, or they are not right with their spirituality. It's not, we need to be careful the words people say, most especially in Christian circles. I remember when, like, I gave an example when I could not conceive for some number of years when I was married. Someone used the scripture and told me the Bible says children are a gift from above. In other words, if God is not giving you that gift, then it's not right that you should be rewarded. You hear such statements. We need to be careful. Actually, for like 2 weeks. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Sorry. You get, for like 2 weeks, that statement held me captive. You mean God, you mean I have done something wrong? It really haunted me. But after some time, as you read the word, I noticed, no, it's not like that. There are actually ladies in the Bible that took long to conceive. But you see, these are words that are said in the Christian circle. If God is not a gift, it means you're not right with him. No. What do you believe as an individual? It is possible to be a Christian, Bible believing, Holy Spirit filled, and you have a tensed mind. But also the Bible asks us to do all these things to be able to bring our mind back, to be right with God. God is very fundamental in our mental health. Do you know, just going before God, it can relax you being for your father, being in like in the face of someone who loves you. And they are not going to talk about you. They're not going to harm you. It's a safest place to be. The Bible says better me being in the hands of the Lord than falling in the hands of my enemies. It's a safe place to be, being before the throne of God. So I don't think that it's not right that because your mental health is not right, you're not right. I don't think so. Hope I've
Okay,
answered.
yeah, thank you so much, Dorcas. There's a comment from Isabella that
Yes.
1 Samuel 36, David was distressed, but he encouraged himself in the Lord. So just like you said, scripture is very important for us and being in the presence of the Lord. Wow, our time is so fast spent. I know we cannot exhaust everything. We appreciate your time. Probably we'll do a second session because I can see people have a lot of questions. People need to hear a little bit more. We can't exhaust everything in one session. So I would request that we end here for now, and we'll organize to do a second session. So earlier, I wanted to share a little bit more about Femme Power Network before we close, so that you understand who the hosts are today. So a little bit more about Femme Power Network. It's an empowering community of women dedicated to discovering their purpose, embracing their identities, and positioning themselves boldly in the corporate and business world. Our vision is to empower women to unlock their potential, find their voice, and achieve success on their terms. We believe that through dialogue, support, and collaboration, We aim to celebrate a sisterhood where women can thrive, learn, and grow together. We're in this group with a shared vision to inspire, equip women, and be better versions of ourselves, whether as sisters, friends, partners, spouses, employers, or employees. At FemPower, our focus is on personal growth, career advancement, and business success, guided by the values of coming together, serving each other, building one another, and making the world a better place. We are here today. We've engaged in this meaningful discussion about mental health, but we also seek inspiration from it, and we hope that will participate more in the activities of FemPower Network. I'll be sharing a link for those who want to join. We have a group, a community of FemPower Network, in case you want to join us. But let's embrace these opportunities to connect, learn, support one another as we embark on this journey of self-discovery, of empowerment, but also improving our mental health. So I hope we've opened up our minds and our hearts and understood whatever it is Dorcus has shared with us as the expert. And I believe that together we can achieve great things and make a lasting impact in our lives and the world around us. Let's always empower each other as ladies, shine bright together as FemPower Network. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Just in case we have ladies in this session. So I'll also talk about the mother, our sister company, Unique Global, is partnering with Synapis on SOA Business Mix. There's an event on the 6th of December, 5 to 9 p.m. at Circular Design Hub. Let me just post it in the chat for people to be able to see, so that you can join. I don't know if that is clear. So I've posted something there in the chat. Those who want, okay, the link for the community has already been shared as well. Thank you so much, Carol, for sharing. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing, for joining us this evening at FemPower Network. Dorcas, we are honored to have you, and we look forward to another session. Bye.